Season 2 picks up 2 weeks after Season 1 ends. Ginny is camped out at Zion's and having nightmares that Georgia wants to smother her with a pillow. Huh? Georgia would never do that to Ginny.
Well, with everything in her life spiraling, Ginny has her first panic attack. It's a breaking point that gets Ginny to tell Zion about her self-harming.
It's gotten worse.
He sets Ginny up with a therapist, but keeps that detail from Georgia, who's more of a deal with her feelings by ignoring them type.
Do I just talk?
Things are tense between Ginny and Georgia, and Paul thinks it's because he's moving in. Georgia can tell that that's not the reason, but she's not quite sure what is, until she realizes Ginny knows.
Checkmate, Mom.
Horrified that her daughter knows about the monster inside her, Georgia opens up to Ginny and explains why she did what she did and why she has no remorse.
I kept you safe, because that hand doesn't stop on the thigh, and I spent my whole childhood wishing my mom would stop that hand.
Enough for now.
It's the kind of honesty Ginny always wanted from Georgia, but it's still hard to swallow. To add to her stress, at school, Ginny is being iced out by Max. But Abby is also being shunned, so at least they're outcasts together. It's MN on one side of the Cold War and AG on the other. Ginny also grows closer to Bracia, who's one of the few other black kids at Wellsbury. Bracia understands Ginny's experience in ways many other people in her life don't, and she's a welcome confidant.
Ginny starts seeing Marcus more regularly. Even though their secret is out to their friends, they're still sneaking around, until Georgia catches Marcus hiding in Ginny's closet.
Marcus, are you in the closet?
Yeah.
Georgia thinks Marcus is a good man. Well, boy. But she sees a fellow damaged kid in him and makes him promise not to hold Ginny back from her dreams.
And if you get her pregnant, I'll kill you.
He promises and also lets Ginny know he's not going anywhere. He wants her to be his girlfriend. Aww. Of course. Max gets jealous of the fun Ginny, Abby, and Marcus are all having without her and breaks her silent treatment by confronting Ginny at school. Max's whole take on the drama changes when she learns that Ginny and Marcus weren't hooking up carelessly. They're in love.
So you'd be like my sister-in-law. Okay, well, that's aggressive. But
Max and Ginny
really
both
sorry.
apologize, and they're back to being besties.
honestly, I've just been hurting so much, like it's leaking out of me like a faucet, and I've been such a bitch, a huge bitchity bitch.
Which is good, because now Max has someone to talk to about her confusing feelings for her ex, Sophie, and her new crush on Marcus's friend, Silver.
Honestly, Ginny doesn't have a ton of capacity for other people's problems. She's still hung up on the fact that her mom is a murderer and that Georgia killed Kenny to protect her. The guilt weighs on her, and since she can't even tell her therapist about it, she expresses herself in a poem about her fear of becoming the monster she was born from, and Georgia hears.
I inherit the sin, and I become the monster that I was born from.
Yikes, dark.
Oh, things get darker. First, Georgia learns that Zion has a new girlfriend, which is crazy, because no one's allowed to get over Georgia, even if she's engaged. Then Austin's dad,
Gil. Shit.
shows up to Wellsbury to worm his scuzzy little way into Austin's life. Georgia had good reason to keep Gil away from her family. He's an abusive dick. And he's trying to blackmail Georgia into giving him some of Paul's money in exchange for his silence about her rocky past.
That's not all. Georgia finds Ginny's diary and is heartbroken to learn that Ginny has been self-harming, and that Zion kept it from her. Georgia goes to a therapy session with Ginny and is asked to consider some hard truths, like how her fierce ways of loving Ginny have sometimes hurt her.
I don't like this.
And how dressing as Scarlett O'Hara for Halloween was insensitive to Ginny. Listening isn't the easiest for Georgia, but she's willing to learn. She never wants to do anything to hurt Ginny or push her away. At the same time, Marcus is distancing himself, and Ginny admits she's afraid he doesn't want to be with her. Marcus tells her he doesn't want to leave, but he also doesn't want to hold her back. He lets Ginny go with an
It's not you, it's me.
absolutely breaking her heart. What Ginny doesn't know is that Marcus has been slipping into depression and barely holding himself together for a while now. The truth is, Marcus can't care for himself, much less be in a relationship.
Ginny's not the only one with the romance blues. As Georgia and Paul make the rounds of Wellsbury as a newly engaged couple, Georgia can't help but notice that Joe seems off. And it's not because he's spending more time with Cynthia, who has gone from Georgia's nemesis to ally to maybe even friend. When Cynthia learns that Gil was abusive to Georgia, Cynthia does Georgia a solid by making it impossible for Gil to rent an apartment in Wellsbury. Georgia feels for Cynthia, who is caring for her son Zach alone while her husband is slowly dying. Georgia offers a kind ear and hears Cynthia loud and clear when she says,
I want it to be over.
So while Cynthia isn't looking, Georgia gives her 2 helping hands, at least. That's how Georgia sees it. Someone who might see it another way is Austin, who witnesses the whole thing.
That's only the first wild thing that happens in Wellsbury that night. When Georgia gets home, Joe visits, and they have the conversation they'd been avoiding since she first arrived. Georgia acknowledges she was the girl from the rest stop, and Joe confesses his feelings for her. He asks her point blank if she's ever thought about the two of them getting together. Georgia tells the truth.
But am I crazy? Am I just making it all up? Did you ever think about it?
Look, you said it yourself. There's nothing I don't think of.
But she's getting married to Paul.
Enraged over being blacklisted by Cynthia, Gil shows up at Georgia's house and attacks her. Ginny and Austin finally see Gil for who he is, and Austin defends Georgia by shooting Gil in the arm. Whoa. Gil flees, and Georgia and Ginny and Austin cover up the evidence before Paul gets home.
Before the wedding, Georgia does something really scary.
Tell him all of it. But what if he doesn't want me?
She gets vulnerable and confesses to Paul that she's been a hustler and a criminal her whole life, just leaving out the murder parts.
You know how you always say you want us to be a team and for me to be honest and you feel like I'm holding back? Okay, well, careful what you wish for.
She's fully ready for him to break off the wedding and have her arrested, but instead, he stands by her side and stands up for her like her real knight in shining armor.
Speak to my wife. You do so through me.
Georgia and Paul get married in front of pretty much all of Wellsbury. It's gorgeous, right out of Georgia's dreams. Until the wedding becomes a nightmare when uninvited guests crash in the most dramatic way.
Georgia Miller, you're under arrest for the murder of Tom Fuller.
Tipped off by P.I. Gabriel, who suspects Georgia of killing Cynthia's husband, the police show up and arrest Georgia during her first dance with Paul.
Deeply unnecessary and dramatic. And that's how season 2 ends.
The craziest thing is we've only skimmed the surface. Catch up on all of Ginny and Georgia's first 2 seasons now.
Then get into season 3 only on Netflix.